Corporate Social Responsibility and Global Citizenship, a presentation by Rios, Faith Nieto, and Najera for Business and Society. Corporate Power and Responsibility. Corporate power refers to the capability of corporations to influence government, the economy, and society based on their organizational resources. Responsibility. Given the immense power global corporations hold, they are expected to wield their power and responsibility for the betterment of society. The consequences of power. Advantages of corporate power include the creation of jobs, a tax base for essential services, banking and financial services, insurance, transportation, and healthcare. These corporations are relied on by citizens to provide the following. Some disadvantages of corporate power include disproportionately influencing politics, weakening unions and communities, dividing markets, and discouraging the creation of new businesses. Corporate social responsibility and citizenship. Corporate social responsibility. Corporations should act accordingly in a way that helps the growth of societies and its inhabitants. This can lead to accountability being held for any actions a corporation has that affects people, communities, and the environment. Corporate citizenship. This refers to the actions a corporation takes which puts their commitments to corporate social responsibility into practice. Global corporate citizenship. Commitments that are put into practice that are worldwide and not just regionally or locally. In 2000, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was started. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation launched. The foundation ended up becoming one of the largest private foundations in the world. Former Microsoft CEO and ex-wife invested time, money, as well as support in finding ways to reduce poverty, which promoted education to global citizens. This is a perfect example of social responsibility and citizenship due to its efforts to enhance society. Corporate social responsibility and citizenship continued. Characteristics that demonstrate citizenship include actively building partnerships, finding business opportunities that serve society, and transforming for financial performance into financial and social performances. Balancing social, economic, and legal responsibility. For a corporation to be socially responsible, they would meet the public's continually changing expectations, which means that wise leadership should be at the top of the corporation to keep up with the public. Companies that have the ability to cooperate with government regulators have an open need for companies' stakeholders. They often also cooperate with legislators as new laws are developed to cope with social problems. Enlightened self-interest refers to a notion that provides value to stakeholders in a business's long-run self-interest. Customer loyalty and enhanced reputation are two forms of this self-interest. Businesses do not solely deal with social responsibility. They also have to juggle with economic and their legal responsibilities. This could include ensuring the safety of products and services, and a business doing their part to reduce waste. The evolving phases of corporate social responsibility. In the 1950s and 60s, corporate philanthropy was practiced, which included acts of charity managers as public trustee stewards balancing CSR drivers, which were executively conscious and cared about the company image and reputation. The CSR policy instruments included funding public relations. In the 60s and 70s, corporate social responsiveness was at play. This focused on social impact analysis, which involved a strategic approach for social responses. Organizations redesigned and trained to increase responsiveness with stakeholder mapping and implementation. The CSR drivers for the 60s and 70s were socially unrested and protested. They protested against the repeated corporate misbehavior, with public policy and government regulations pleaded. The CSR policy instruments, stakeholder strategy, regulatory compliance, social audits, public affairs functions, governance reform, and political lobbying. The 1980s and 1990s, corporate and business ethics fostered an ethical corporate culture, establishing an ethical organizational climate and recognizing common ethical principles. The CSR drivers believed in religious and ethnic beliefs, technology-driven value changes, human rights pressures, code of ethics, ethics committee officer audit, ethics training, and stakeholder negotiations. The CSR policy instruments include mission, vision, values, statements, and CEO leadership ethics. The 1990s through the present gravitated more towards corporate and global citizenship with stakeholder partnerships, integrated financial, social, and environmental performance, identify globalization impacts, sustainability of company and environment. CSR drivers focused on global economic trade and investment, high-tech communication networks, geopolitical shift and competition, ecological awareness and concern, and NGO pressures. The CSR policy instruments are intergovernmental, global audit standards, NGO dialogue, sustainability, audits and reports. Later in the 2000s, the phase of corporate social responsibility would lean more toward a millennial future with integrated culture and nature, seeking corporate and planetary sustainability, comprehending planetary processes, with the CSR drivers focusing on sustainability processes, generational changes, and metaphysical beliefs. The CSR policy instruments are indeterminate, speculative, awaiting millennials, and includes control of corporate processes. The claims which support social responsibility include the balancing of corporate power with responsibility, discouraging government regulations, promoting long-term profits for businesses, improving stakeholder relationships, and enhancing business reputation. The discouragement of government regulations are voluntarily social responsible acts which would keep government regulations out of businesses. When promoting long-term profits for businesses, studies generally have found that most of the time, more responsible companies had better financial results. When improving stakeholder relationships, managers believe a strong social agenda and series of social programs can improve a firm's stakeholder relationships. When enhancing business reputation, the social reputation of the firm is viewed as an important element in establishing trust between a firm and the stakeholders. Reputation would be desirable or undesirable qualities. associated with a business and its parties, which could influence relationships with stakeholders. The concerns about corporate social responsibility. Social responsibility could be viewed as a business essentially not disclosing their true intentions, which is to make as much money as possible. The result of these intentions could be at the expense of workers, communities, and consumers. Allowing businesses to not disclose their intention to make as much money as possible could create a false sense of relationship between that company and their consumers. Social entrepreneurs and B corporation. Social entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs who create and sustain social value rather than economic value by pursuing opportunities, attracting support, and building new organizations. Social entrepreneurs focus more on the social needs and they will address them accordingly. B corporation is a business that seeks to blend its social and environmental objectives with its financial goals. To qualify, B corporation must involve being socially independent and having a good environmental performance. Social Ventures is an organization that is established by social entrepreneurs, which purpose is to achieve a social or environmental objective. Compared to B corporations, they tend to have a more of a chance to get government recognition. Stages of corporate citizenship. It takes time for a company to become good global citizens and to be socially responsible. What needs to be developed are attitudes, new policies, progression in relationships, and upgraded routines that are learned. The 5 stages of corporate citizenship are Stage 1, elementary, Stage 2, engaged, Stage 3, innovative, Stage 4, integrated, and the final Stage 5, transforming. Stages continued. Stage 1 of the stages of corporate citizenship, elementary, involves companies that obey the law but do not move beyond compliance. They tend to be defensive, reacting after a threat, and have an undeveloped citizenship. The social issues occurring do not interest managers. Stage 2, titled Engage, involves companies that are mindful of the changing public expectations with top management involved. Fully demonstrated philanthropy, leadership, and relationships are all present in this stage. Stage 3, titled Innovative, involves a company that has a structural innovation which is prompted after the company realizes that they lack the capacity to take new obligations. Coordination begins, programs launch, and stakeholders are notified. In this stage, the companies are aware and take action. Stage 4, titled Integrated, involves building coherent initiatives that are a top priority for sustainability and partnerships are entered with stakeholders. Stage 5, titled Transforming, involves a higher sense of corporate purpose that is possessed by visionary leaders. Social problems and undeserved markets are addressed by partnering organizations. References. The references used today are by Lawrence and Weber, 2023, the book titled Business and Society, Stakeholders, Ethics, Public Policy, 17th edition. Knowledge assessment number 1. What refers to the capability of corporations to influence government, the economy, and society based on their organizational resources? A. Corporate power. B. Corporate citizenship. C. Government regulation. Or D. social responsibility? The answer is A. Corporate power. Knowledge assessment number 2. What is not an advantage of corporate power? A. Job creation. B. Tax base for essential services. C. Banking and financials. Or D. Divide markets. The answer is D. Divide markets. Knowledge assessment number 3. Which of the following is a disadvantage of corporate power? A. Weaken unions and communities. B. Healthcare. C. Insurance. Or D. Transportation. The answer is weakened unions and communities. Knowledge assessment number 4. What is the first stage of corporate citizenship? A. Innovative. B. Engaged. C. Elementary. Or D. Integrated. The answer is elementary. Thank you for your time. Feel welcome to give us feedback or ask any questions in the virtual whiteboard space.